Hi, I'm Alvin.
And I'm Mel.
Get ready for spoilers and teary eyes as this episode of Star Trek Picard takes us into the next generation with a heartfelt episode.
Because we're talking about Star Trek Picard Episode 7, Nepenthe.
Spoilers ahead.
Yep.
Live long and prosper.
Engage.
On screen.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Do it.
Photon torpedoes armed and ready to launch.
He's dead, Jim.
Red alert.
Today is a good day to die.
I'm a doctor, not a zookeeper.
We are Borg.
Make it so.
Warp speed, now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. So there have been a lot of tear-jerking moments in Star Trek. Or episodes that really tug on your heartstrings. Whatever you think of Star Trek Picard and the show in general, I'd say that for me, this felt like it was one of those episodes that was aspiring to be one of those really good Star Trek episodes. It was the first time that I felt that I really connected with a bunch of characters and really connected, especially with Soji. We haven't really seen enough. We've seen Soji a lot, but I don't feel like she's had time to really develop.
Yeah, so I feel like that sort of started with the previous episode where she kind of starts having a breakdown. And I think that's as she's becoming more emotionally vulnerable and kind of learning more about herself. I think we're getting to know her better now. So yeah, I think that definitely continued into this episode really nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, time will tell if it ever becomes established as being one of those really iconic episodes. But so far, even though it does have some flaws, I think it's definitely the best episode of Picard so far. Yeah. And I was expecting Stardust City Rag to be a really awesome episode, especially since they were bringing back 7 of 9. And I don't know, I felt a little bit let down by that episode.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately. I enjoyed seeing the character of 7 again, but yeah, some of their choices for that episode and kind of the pacing and stuff, I didn't feel like it was very strong episode. So I was definitely disappointed in that one too. Hopefully if we see her again, it'll, maybe be a little bit different. I
was disappointed by Stardust City Rag, and I got better in Impossible Box. I was especially because I knew that they were bringing back Riker and Troy for this episode based on the previews. I was worried that we might get a similar situation, but surprisingly and quite welcomely, this was a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it really.
And if you're going to bring back important Star Trek characters, this was the way to do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it's a difference between, the three of them kind of falling back into their old, they all work together. Whereas, Jerry Ryan, as far as I'm aware, never worked with Patrick Stewart, so, I mean, also it was not all to do with that. It was also the way the episode
tone.
The way the episode was written and the tone. Yeah,
like the tone of this episode was fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly the right tone, emotions, a mix of hope and despair. You know what I mean?
And a combination of things. It was definitely really nice. Kind of what you were hoping for from the episode. Like, it's okay. It's a good one. They're bringing back the characters and they did it well. Okay, good.
Yeah, I like how Sirtis and Frakes just like they slipped right back into the roles.
Yeah.
As soon as Picard, as soon as Troy sees Picard, it's she can sense, that first she's happy, right? And then she can sense that something's wrong, right?
Still, everybody gets hugs and yeah. It's a very huggy episode.
Yeah, very huggy.
Which I liked because you don't get a lot of hugging on the starship, so it's nice when they're all relaxing together and retired or whatever. They can just kind of be friends.
What did you think? I mean, we get introduced to Kestra, who of course was named after Deanna's sister who passed away. She drowned. And then, we're told, we find out that they had another child named Thad who did not survive. Conveniently could have been saved.
I think we both agreed that was, he could have been saved if only they had a positronic brain. But so that was a little heavy-handed in the writing, but not too bad. I think that the actors did a good job with that. I think the way that Troy kind of told that to Sanjay. But yeah, the way they handled Thad and his death was quite well done.
Yeah, I mean,
for the characters,
you can see the mix of emotions that that Deanna has when she's letting Picard into Thad's room, and she has to take a breath before she comes in, and it's hard for her being in there. And even though they both she and Will tell Picard, it's okay, you can stay here as long as you want. You can Picard knows, he's trying to tell her, I'm not staying long. I'm not going to put your family in danger. And she's like, no, don't be ridiculous. You can stay as long as you want. But yeah, like if anything happened to our remaining child, that would be devastating. So
yeah, they're like, you can stay here as long as you want, and I think would very much welcome him. But I think they also know that he's probably gonna, just because of who he is, he's probably gonna try to shorten it as much as possible and keep him out of danger. However, they are like very prepared for danger, which I liked. They have all these shields and apparently anti-cloaking technology as well, not just shields.
Former Starfleet captain. I mean, protecting his family. Like apparently they've been having trouble with this other alien race. The name slips my mind now, but it was actually a race. I'm pretty sure that was mentioned. When I was reading up on the episode afterwards, it was one that was mentioned in the animated series.
Okay, I've not seen that.
Yeah, but it was apparently this is like the first mention of it in canon. Anyways, they've been having trouble with some neighboring alien races.
Some rowdy neighbors,
Yeah, some rowdy neighbors. Yeah,
a high fence for these rowdy neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I would be surprised if like former Starfleet captain did not have shields on around his property. I mean, it's the future. How could you not? You know what I mean? Like. Especially if you're essentially out in the wilderness by yourself.
Yeah, and you made a lot of enemies, and yeah.
I like I like seeing Deanna call out Picard. I mean, one of the things that I remember from TNG was that whenever Troy was there, it was either she was sensing something, like. He's not telling the entire truth.
Or she couldn't sense something.
Or she couldn't sense something.
I can't get anything from them.
Yeah. But he's definitely hiding something. But then the other part was, other than that, it was whenever she was calling up Picard on his BS.
Yeah.
When she was pointing out to whoever was in charge, whoever, playing devil's advocate, trying to get the other person to see the situation from the other point of view, which he does quite well here because Picard he is not handling this thing with Soji well. No,
he's kind of, I think, handling it a little bit like he did with Daj, and that's not the right track to take. Like, they're not the same person, even if they are, twins. They've had very different introductions to the fact that their android. One was very sudden and kind of shocking. And with Sanji, I just think that, because she's kind of had a lot of time to think about it, it's been kind of in the back of her mind, kind of, for a while, she's kind of slowly come to this realization and then had this big, shock, and then had the big betrayal, by a guy she thought was her boyfriend.
Who she was falling in love with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, she's so much more suspicious.
It was funny seeing Riker interact with Picard too, because, when he sees him the first time, he gives him a big hug.
Yeah.
But just the way that he's talking to him too, it feels more like how he would talk to Geordi or to Worf, when they were playing poker or something, versus, because I don't think I've ever seen Riker talk to Jean-Luc that way, and this is like the first time I feel that, because he's not his boss anymore.
No, they're out of uniform. They're more like friends and equals. Yeah. So they can just hang out and drink some wine together, and
Riker can call him arrogant. He's like, oh, classic arrogant Picard,
which is fair, yeah. But it is nice again. As as much as I love the character of Picard, it's he can be a little arrogant, as many of the captains I think have been. They tend to think they know best for everybody, and it's nice to see both Will and Deanna kind of go, no, it's this isn't going to work. Yeah, no, he's definitely. Because Riker always was a character, he was never my favorite character. And I think it's because sometimes he was, when he was in uniform and like acting that part of the number one officer, like he sometimes, he came across as arrogant, or that they were writers were trying too hard to make him like the cool guy. Like he was either like super confident in, whatever he was doing, or he was like super suave with the ladies and stuff. But then he had those moments where he was more relaxed, kind of off duty with the rest of the crew, especially those poker games. I really loved those that in the original series. That was such a nice touch to see them kind of just hanging out together off duty. And so, yeah, he definitely has more of that laid back sort of personality now, which I like. He's older, he's a dad, he cooks pizzas, and,
I love that when Picard arrives, when he's cooking, he's listening to jazz. Smooth jazz. That's a Riker thing to do.
It is, yeah. I wonder if he still has a saxophone.
Oh, he definitely does. I don't know if he can still play, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Soji and Kestra, their relationship, throughout the episode, we kind of see, that Kestra is that person that automatically, she immediately connects with Soji. She's fascinated by her, and
she's a precocious kid, and there doesn't seem to be any other kids around. And she's like, oh, hey, someone to talk to. That's not my parents.
Someone new,
Someone new. And she, I think it's clear, like, she's heard a lot about Data. So as soon as she finds out that Soji's an android and, like, related to Data, she's asking her, like, do you like Sherlock Holmes? Do you like this? And Soji's like, I guess so. Like, no, they're not the same person.
You like that I have mucus? Like,
like what? Like, I don't think so. She very clearly never had like a little sister. She had a twin, but she very clearly like has not had a younger sibling to bug you about everything and ask random questions. So I thought that was very cute.
I liked how Soji still does not trust Picard. So often in any of these shows, it was like, okay, so they met the last episode. Very often what I've seen in a lot of shows is, okay, they meet, they haven't met before. One of them tells them, you have to trust me. They trust them. And then the explanation part for as to why they're so trusting of each other so all of a sudden happens like between the shows or between the episodes or off screen.
Why? You have to trust me. Why do I have to trust you? Like, you just do. Okay, for plot purposes.
I mean, she does. She goes with him. But at the same time, it's like, I still don't trust you.
You feel like she's ready to bolt at any moment.
Yeah.
Oh, except she has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, and she
knows
feels
that.
She feels like everyone's playing 9 games. She sees how Deanna and Will and Kestra are welcoming to her, and she just sees this. She says it right in the episode. She says that it makes her trust them less because it's like, are you just? I don't know what you're doing. Are you really just doing it just to get close to me, to get info from me? Because that's what the last person did, right?
And we know that this is like I that was kind of a little bit jarring to me when you said that to Deanna, but like in a good way, because I'm like, oh yeah, that is how somebody who's in Soji's position would read this. Whereas, we just know as viewers, that's just kind of how Deanna is. Like, she's the counselor and she falls back into that role very easily. And she just really is trying to like pick at Soji's brain, but like in a kind way, like trying to help her. But it's like, yeah, that is a good point. Why would you trust this lady who's being super nice? She could be tricking you.
Yeah, I like that she does the head tilt, and Riker catches that, like
yeah,
I would recognize that head tilt anywhere, right? It was a nice little touch. I feel like.
I mean, to be fair, his wife's probably already told him that.
Yeah,
she's an android. Like,
well, I mean,
it very clearly can't read anything from her. You know. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything about just them being, on Riker's little farm is just really sweet. Yeah. Even when she like tries a tomato for the first time and, it's like, just bite into it.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, is replicator food really that bad? Like,
I don't know.
There must be something about replicated food. I mean, I guess so, it's like you eat processed food, like a processed chicken versus like a chicken breast.
Right. Like, I don't know if it's bad. I think it depends on the replicators and what era you're talking about, but I don't think it's the same as real food. Yeah.
Like they must be able to tell they must be able to tell the difference.
Maybe certain dishes, or maybe I'm feeling like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the fresh vegetables or something just tastes different in the ground. I mean, even like if you buy, tomatoes in the grocery store and it's like maybe like greenhouse grown versus like, your garden tomatoes. Your garden tomatoes often just have so much more flavor. Like, it's just.
That's true. Homemade is always better.
Yeah. Yeah, homegrown just tastes different than what's been really mass-produced sometimes. I don't know. I can tell with tomatoes just because I had to use tomatoes in the episode. Specifically, sometimes you have tomato and you're like, this doesn't taste very tomatoey.
So let's jump over to Agnes. I also like how Agnes is still struggling with the fact that she murdered someone and that her entire life, everything she's been working towards her entire life.
She murdered, like, wasn't he like her boyfriend or something?
Well, like a previous lover, someone she was really close to at one point.
Yeah, like that would mess you up. Yeah,
that would mess you up.
I'm glad that they're not doing an episode of the week thing where it's like, oh, they were messed up last episode, but now they're fine.
She's fine now.
Yeah, no.
Her entire life's work, led to some horrible experience. We finally get to see the result of her conversation with Commodore O, who I would say Commodore O is definitely a Vulcan now. I mean, Romulans can't do mind melds as far as I know.
As far as we know. We're finding out a lot about Romulans in this series, though. So
yeah. Maybe she's like a half hybrid or something. Who knows?
I don't know.
But I mean, the fact that she does the mind meld for me makes me think that she's definitely a Vulcan. But it also, we see that that's where Agnes had her, that whenever Agnes was shown was so big and so life-changing that now it's messing her up rightly so. And it's cool to see Raffi, try and like help her out and whatnot.
She's trying to help her out. To be fair, she was going to first help her out with drugs, but but then cake was suggested. She's like, yeah, we could do cake. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, no, Raffi trying to be all motherly is it's sweet.
Yeah, I don't think that Agnes was trying to kill herself though. Like the first time I saw it, I thought, oh gosh, she tried to commit suicide. But on the second viewing, I'm like pretty sure, like, okay, if she was going to kill herself, she would have found she could have replicated a gazillion different things that would have been quicker and less painful,
right?
More peaceful way to go. I mean, to me, it was obvious that she was just trying to get rid of that tracker.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were talking about it directly before that. So yeah, I would take the reading of that scene, yeah. I don't know. We don't really know how the tracker works. Like, where is it in her body?
Yeah. She chews it and it must be in her bloodstream for X number of days or whatever. Being able to track her, through space, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we see that Narek is like pursuing them, right? And of course, as soon as she does that, he loses the tracing signal. So we know that's probably that whatever her intention was, that was a side effect, was that the tracker was maybe she just didn't care if she died or not afterwards.
Right? Maybe she was just like, I need to, disable this tracker so that they're not being tracked, and whatever happened to her might not have mattered as much to her.
Feel more guilty because she could see that Rios is starting to like think that Raffi's the one being tracked, and I love the music that they're playing. I love the music throughout the show, particularly in this episode. When Agnes is in sick bay and she's contemplating what to do next. And when Rios is sitting in the chair, and he's talking to Raffi, and it's like obvious now that he's very suspicious of Raffi, right? And then she makes that crack about like, you're not going to throw me out of an airlock, are you?
Well,
and he's
I
like,
hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. And she gives him this look that's like, what? Right. And then of course Agnes is in a coma.
Right. Then there's an emergency that interrupts them and they can't talk about that, but that weird moment. But yeah, I mean, I do wonder though, because Agnes seems pretty convinced by this cause, right? Like she seems pretty convinced that synthetics are a bad idea now, which is a total, 180 from that was her whole life's work before. So it must have been a very powerful vision. So I don't know why she would want to stop tracking them, because obviously they need to if they're going to if the Romulan's going to track down.
It sounds like she's having she's having second thoughts, and she's not quite sure what she should be doing now. And
definitely she is. I mean, she's having a breakdown. she's not sure what she should be doing anymore. Yeah.
Hugh, I'm okay. So everything on so I really liked the episode. But everything on the Borg cube felt disjointed and like I feel like we missed stuff.
Kind of like an afterthought. Like, oh right, we got to go back to the Borg cube and show them what's happening. Okay, just shove this in.
Yeah, okay.
Scene,
Okay. So Elnor, the last time we saw Elnor in the Impossible Box along with Hugh, they were together, and we don't see what ended up separating them. So when we start up the episode in the Borg cube, Narissa is torturing Hugh, and then she kills a bunch of the XBs in order to try to get him to reveal where he sent Picard and Soji. And then of course after she leaves, suddenly then Elnor shows up, and it's like. I don't know. I feel like it's like, why was Elnor separated in the first place? They never really explain it. They get into a fight later on where, and it's a classic trope where it's like, first of all, I like that Narissa just, when she sees Elnor with a sword, she just pulls out her guns and starts shooting at him.
Yeah, because guns beat swords.
Yeah, I remember thinking to myself, you brought a sword to a gunfight, right? But at the same time, it's like, this is not how Zat Vash fights Kowat Malat, right? And she puts her sidearm, aside, and then they start fighting with sword. Start fighting hand to hand.
He puts his sword away. Yeah, I guess it's a Romulan tradition thing. I don't know.
Either way, Hugh gets killed.
Gonna find out about Romulan tradition things.
Yeah, he gets killed in such a sad. It was sad, but I mean. I wanted more Hugh. I felt like he would have been a good person to lead the XBs, but now it sounds like Seven is probably going to be the one who's going to do it, or possibly, who knows? Maybe. But I mean, the next scene we have that scene after that we have, so there are a lot of things like I can accept some Wonder Kidness, like the scene where where Kestra is basically she's like IMing her captain friend, and she gets the exact location, the exact location for a planet in the Alpha Quadrant somewhere, billions of stars and, thousands upon thousands of possible.
But he just happened to know that one, that one unnamed planet with the red moons and the lightning storms. Yeah, that one.
That one, it doesn't have a name. Here's a number.
Totally know.
Yeah, totally know it.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe it's known. And there's a lot of things. Okay, with stuff like that, okay, maybe there's a whole bunch of, like, only possible places where Maddox could have gone, and maybe it's famous for some reason, or, and there's a whole bunch of information we don't have yet that they could explain away.
Right, and we don't know much about this crazy captain friend of hers. Like, maybe there's a reason that he might know this. Like, he's, I don't know.
Yeah, but Elnor finding the Fenris SOS thing just magically, like, I feel like, if Hugh had said, go to this console and grab this thing for help, like a super awesome XB will come help us, and of course it's going to be Seven. I mean, if he told her go there, if Picard gave him this thing and said, hold on to this in case you need help.
Yeah. I
don't remember anyone doing that.
No.
So him just suddenly coming across it, I felt was...
Right. Like, I looked up, there's a thing hanging. It's just, I need to save me. All right.
That'll save the day. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, but he did seem, I like that he did seem like maybe he was a little affected by the fact that he failed to protect Hugh, but at the same time, it's like, I guess Seven's appearing in the next episode, and that's great, but at the same time, I feel like there better be more to how she appears. There better be a better explanation as to why he was able to find that and how that had just suddenly appeared there. Yeah, so overall, overall, I like the episode. I really did like it. Episode. Other than than some of the Borg cube stuff.
Right, like those were definitely the weakest parts, but yeah, everything on the planet and even on the ship, like, those were, very interesting. And like you said, we got some great character stuff in this episode, which I love. Yeah.
I'm starting to really like Narissa Rizzo as a villain. She's so sinister. The music in the show is so good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really loving the music in the show. Like in Picard in general, I like the music, but especially in this episode, I'm really liking it. It did a great job with Riker, with Troy, Deanna and Will, and then of course with Kestra. I love that there were like a bunch of little Easter eggs throughout the episode. They mentioned, Picard mentions his artificial heart. Riker was listening to jazz in the kitchen. They mentioned a Gorbander, which was like that space thing from Star Trek Discovery, which is like that space whale or something like that. Riker calls Troy anxiety, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like stuff like that I really, really liked. I loved it at the dinner table, after Troy suggests that they, maybe try and do it like an old fashioned TNG, briefing thing. When they're all talking at the table, he turns to Will and he's like, thoughts, because that's what he did on TNG, overall, I really liked it. I'm hoping that they're continuing this upward trend. I honestly, I still want to see less of like these super easy plot conveniences, like, like the whole thing with Elnor that I found, but.
Yeah, maybe there'll be some sort of explanation for that in the next episode. I don't know. Like retroactively, like, I left this thing for you. Yeah. And I told you about this off screen. I don't know.
Yeah. But they easily could have like buggered up this reunion between Picard and Deanna and Will, but I feel like they handled it really well. It was really heartfelt, and so far it's my favorite. It's my favorite episode so far.
Well, it really felt like old friends coming together, which for the actors too, it was a reunion. So I think that probably some real life stuff probably made it into the episode, and it was just like they were just able to hang out and
it was nice seeing
be friends.
Nice seeing them being relaxed, and they felt like real people. You could feel that connection that they had.
Yeah.
The Trekily theme is Gravity by Stanley Gurvich, found on Artlist. All stock images and videos were acquired through Pixabay. Podcasting services acquired through Spreaker. All images and videos related to Star Trek are owned by CBS Corporation and are used within fair use laws. Please don't sue us. Thanks for being aboard today. If you like the show, please hit that like and subscribe button and also hit the notification bell.
We really enjoy doing these episodes, and if you'd like to support the show, then please consider buying us a coffee.
You can do that on coolpodcast.com, or you can also check out our other shows.
Until next time, live long and prosper.